All right, all you devils out there, happy Friday. Oh, let's see, here we are, 12:30-ish for me here in Austin. Well, okay, of course, we're going to look at Bitcoin. Oh, we'll look at Bitcoin, ETH. I've got a few alts teed up as well here, some things that look interesting. So, of course, right, we waited 10 years to get a Bitcoin ETF, a spot ETF, and here we have it. So interesting to see how the market is responding to this. I suppose as a technician, this is not radically surprising to see a bit of a sell-off here on the news. Now, we'll see how far it goes, and we'll kind of dig in here to this count. There are some interesting things that have happened here, and we'll look at both a bull and a bear count here. So with that, I can get myself off the screen. I can't see any reason for me to be on here. I'm just taking up screen real estate. So, hi, I'm real, right? So, I don't know why people have to keep their face on there, but they do, right? So, I'm going to pause here for a second here, and we'll focus on the chart and get me out of it. Okay, so, well, let's work from the ground up here. Now, I haven't changed this much other than this last little pump that we got here off of the news. So I've left these on here. These are from the volume profile from the swing low now up to our high, and just accenting the obvious consolidation points. I mean, you could really consider this the entire second wave, right? Just more consolidation. So with that established here, and now clear framing of the value area as we've launched beyond it. Well, I think we can, well, let's see here. Let's just hide it. Just hide it there. Okay, all right, and then I kind of leave these on here just as reference points. So do we have a clean count here? Well, it gets a little funky up at the top here, but I think when we have this kind of, we've got the ETF, we don't have the ETF, this kind of, well, let's just call it volatility, right? You really have to work off of the implied count. So consolidation, we get the push up here to this high. It would appear to be that it looks like we're starting here, right? So there's no reason to assume. Well, let's back up here. We've got to recognize a bull and a bear count here. So because we'll get to this in a second. We'll get to the bear count in a second. But as we look at it here, there's no major reason here. Just trying to think it through logically as to why you would be overly bearish. Now you can talk yourself into things, right? Which is kind of the danger of trying to overthink the technicals. If you're a technician, let's prioritize the technicals. If you're not a technician, or you work in some sort of a hybrid fashion, okay, well you might be able to convince yourself into thinking, okay, well, right, the huge institutions now that are going to be offering Bitcoin spot ETFs. I mean, if they can manipulate the market a little bit, wouldn't you anticipate that if they can do it, and let's assume they can, they would want the prices a little bit lower. They're not going to want to buy off of retail buying it off of the news. If anything, perhaps you could talk yourself into thinking, okay, well, if they have the muscle to push it down, which obviously they do, perhaps they push it down here, and that would be in sync with this bullish Elliott Wave count, right? So we come back down here, anything under 40. I ideally like this range right here, right? This little consolidation before we got the push, and the final consolidation before we got that to complete a potential third wave here. And the subdivision, yeah, we've had to change it a little bit along the way, but I think it's fairly clean. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pretty big rip in the fifth to complete a third. So if we think of the 1, 2, and then the 3, well, of course, that gives us some nice channeling. It also allows us to, what's a better way to do this? Oh, well, here, let's just use a channel, right? So all of this, let's kind of keep it in here. This, for an Elliottician, it's important to try and get the impulses to be one continuous swing here rather than try and connect the two. Now, when I say that, now we start to look at the 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, we ideally, right, if this is going to hold as our third here, the fact that I can get it all self-contained inside this channel here is a very positive, right? So I would lean into this as my third here. I think that's not an unreasonable stance to take. Now, any sort of correction here I propose would be an opportunity to be looking for longs. That's my view. I'm extremely bullish. I'm bullish long term. I have been buying in here, and if it retraces, I'll buy more. Right now, that's me. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just telling you, as a bull, it's hard not to interpret the ETF news as bullish long term. Now, what happens over the next 2 weeks? I mean, that could be some manipulation here. But again, back to the technicals, back to the chart. What is the chart telling us, right? There's always a story being told by the price action. Okay, well, if this, I can complete a 1 here. I can complete a sideways 3. I've got an impulse here that I can complete. This being sideways, we might anticipate this to be sharp. Well, now that I've got the 1 and the 3, a candidate, let me rephrase that. Now I've got a candidate for the 1 through the 3. I can connect the 2 and tee up the geometry for a potential channel 4th. Well, okay, well, we can add a little to that. Okay, well, if this is going to hold as the 2 and this is going to hold as the 3rd, you can see why I like this area here. If we're going to come down here and we're going to get something sharp, right, which would be your anticipation as an Elliottician. Okay, if I'm going sideways here, I'm going to anticipate sharp. This, I would call this complex. So maybe we get something simple here. We just get a zigzag. Now, when I say that, right, it's people in the comments I get. I'm not saying, oh, I'm bearish of Bitcoin. I'm Jesus, 5 years doing this. I don't think I've ever been bearish of Bitcoin. But people like to glom onto a comment I might make through the course of a video here. I see an opportunity here, if this corrects, to get long because I'm bullish Bitcoin. So when people say, oh, TradeDevils bearish, well, I buy it. It's moronic statements, right? Or they haven't been around for long. Okay, so if we're going to come down into this area here, and again, 40 to call it 36, that's heads up, right? That's likely to be an opportunity. Now, that when I say that as well, that doesn't mean I'm saying, well, I certainly couldn't do that. No, that's not what I'm saying, right? There's no certainty in the markets ever. There's only probabilities, right? And then the things that we can recognize that have a tendency to repeat, right? So we have 80 years of Elliott Wave structures repeating in the market here. So we have some historical context with which we can say, well, 5s and 3s. Well, of course, that is the genius of Elliott, right? And that seems to be how we're moving here. So 5, 3, 5, 3, we'd anticipate the 5. This would be an ideal location for it. The geometry flies. The location for that fib relationship, swing to swing, is in alignment. The prior consolidation. But I mean, I'm not here. I'm here. So, okay, you might say, whoa, okay, well, do I want to trade into the B? Well, what if we do this, right? What if you, of course, I could be completely wrong. We're doing that. But then if you're thinking that way, you've abandoned well, let me rephrase that. You're taking your Elliott Wave hat off, which I'm not saying you got to keep it on all the time, right? It's just a tool, right? These are just tools. Okay, well, so if I'm going to take it off, well, what would I be thinking if I'm going to abandon my Elliott Wave here? Well, okay, coming back to a consolidation point here, right? If we're going to look for liquidity, well, let's just think about it for a second, right? So if the market's coming down here, where's the liquidity, right? It's not too hard to. Oh, here, shit. I can probably do it this way, right? All of these lows here, right? That's all liquidity here if we're going to go for internal liquidity, right? Think of it that way, right? So what did we just... Oh, shit. Let's do it this way here. What did we just do here, right? That's not what I want. I'm not good with that one. Let's get this one here, right here, right? So what did we do here, right? We swept. This was at that time, that was the external liquidity. Swept. What's right here? Internal liquidity. Back here, external liquidity. Well, if we're going to go internal, external, which is what the algorithms like to do, because they're looking for liquidity. Well, where's the liquidity now? Here. Yeah, we can keep going lower, but the obvious targets here, I mean, you're making a case you got a little bit here. So we're just coming back into this consolidation here, but these would be points that I'd be looking for. Now, how would that fit in with what we're proposing here is a reasonable path to anticipate, right? What were we trying to do here? We're trying to predict the future. I mean, many people will interpret Elliott Wave that way. Oh, you're trying to predict the future. Well, yeah, I mean, you could phrase it that way. I'm trying to draw a roadmap here based on, again, 80 years of precedent, if you will, of what markets tend to like to do. And now we factor in how algos operate now. We know they're searching for liquidity, right? So we can just see okay, could this be, we're starting on the A wave? Well, if we get an A wave here, maybe there's something in here, there's some imbalance or fair value gaps here. It looks like we could be starting on some imbalance here. We come back into the B wave here to rebalance, fill in that inefficiency, and then we'd roll over here for assuming we get a zigzag here. I don't know that we're going to get a zigzag. We could get a triangle, right? But it's just likely we're going to get something different than what we got here. It's not likely to go sideways for a long time. I think that of all the things we can anticipate, to replicate this seems least likely. Something sharp seems probable. I'd like to think anybody watching here, if we come back down into this zone here, at the very least is going to be considering, right? Maybe 1, 2, right? We can get started into 4, 5 to go after that 5th. Again, I don't have any of this, but that's kind of the roadmap that I'd be looking for. Now, we've got to recognize here that this is the fully bullish count. And given the ETF news, now some people say, oh, sell the news, right? It was all factored in. Now that it's here, well, we sell it. Okay, that's a legitimate stance to take, right? It's very common for the market to sell off on the news, right? We buy the anticipation, we sell the actual fact. Let's get this out of here. All right, news is in, it's established. What do? We sell off, right? So that's not unreasonable here. But if we come back down here, I'd be looking. Now, that said, right, that's the bull stance. Now, let's consider the alternate. What is the one thing we have to be mindful of as we sit here looking at this with, bull horns on? Well, we can't forget that there's always an algo on the other side, right? So I would like to think, maybe this is my own self-indulgence here, but I would like to think that every single member, everyone who's ever watched a video of mine, been a member of mine, spent any time studying the material or reviewing any of the content that we produce here, that you know why it stopped there. Because isn't that kind of a question in the back of your mind? Why do we stop here? Do I even need to do it? Tell me I don't need to do it. Oh, let's see what I've got here. Oh, let's get my golden zone on here. I'd like to think that every single one of you, I don't need to be doing this. You've already done this. And you know why we stopped right here. Stop. I can't make this stuff up. Thank you, David Halsey. All right, so there we sit. All right, well, Halsey, actually, Halsey would have you at the 618, right? I added the 65. It's so funny to me now. I see people they don't want to use the 65. So I just watched a video this morning. A guy very, 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 very established, talented Elliottician. He didn't want to call it the 60. He wants to use the 66. He likes to call it the golden pocket. Trust me when I tell you, before 5 years ago, anyway, it's not to blow my own horn, right? But I just kept seeing it break the 618, so I put the 65 on there, called it the golden zone. 5 years later, again, I'm getting off track here, right? So you want to call it use the 66 and call it the golden pocket, fine, right? What's the difference here? 4 or 5 ticks. Okay, so we come down here. So what else might be here that would say, oh, again, it's always question, right? Why does it stop here? Is it, well, we could perhaps make the case that, oh, it's just sweeping that liquidity there, right? From the prior pivot here. Just a little sweep and sell off, right? Knowing that the algorithms are looking for liquidity, that's not unreasonable. I mean, that's a pivot along, we'll be back to March of 22. That's a long time ago. But it's hard to look at that and say, well, that couldn't be the case. What else? Oh, let's see what I've got in here. I think I've got the fair value gaps here. Oh, I might have to pump that up a little bit. I thought I had them. Oh, where are they? Oh, hang on. I know I had them in there. There they are. They're a little bit faded here. So what I was trying to draw your attention to is way over here. There's my arrow. Way, 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 way over here. Let's just zoom in there. You see that imbalance there? Little fair value gap right here. Here, well, we got multiples, right? Here's the all-time high. Imbalance, 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 right? So this has never been tapped, right? Never been rebalanced. This doesn't get there, right? It's not enough, right? These are wide open. This, you make a case, you got to you put a toe in, right? This unmitigated, 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 right? So the first one gets mitigated here, right? As we bump into the golden zone from the all-time high. Coincidence? Oh, pardon me. That's log scale. Coincidence? Again, I probably said 50,000 times, right? You think that's coincidence? I'm going to guess not. So we see an algo hit here, right? So that's we know. So it becomes. So what's the point of it all? We understand why it stops there. It's not like, oh, well, whale stepped in to crush it. No, that's software doing that, right? And again, we know that. We don't have to wonder about it. Okay, so we've got. So you look there and say, well, wait a second. How do you know that's going to go 4-5, right? How do you know that? Do you know? Well, nobody knows that. Let's be clear right off the bat. Nobody knows that. Well, so what's the alternate here? If it's not 1, 2, 3, well, right, it's a 3, right? So couldn't this be, if this is going to be a 5 and this is a 3? Because there's a count here that gets this done as a 5. It's not pretty, but it can be done. 1, 2, 3, triangle, 4, tiny little fifth, A, B, right? I mean, why not? What again? You want to be a counter trend? Oh, let's do it this way. So let's get you off here. Oh, let's hide that one. Let's see if we can come up with a bear count here. Well, here we see if this is A, B, and we're going into a C, here's the 1618175, right? That would be the same thing if it's 1, 2. So let's take that one off. Right, and look what we have here, right? So here's our candidate, right? So you have to look at this and go, hey, why not ABC, right? If you're purely a technician and you've got your Elliott hat on, you can't ignore the bear count. Well, okay, just for a second though, where would that, right? If we assume this is software that's selling here, are we going to under $3,000? That's the algo target. You think that's where we're going with Bitcoin, with the ETF just approved? Well, that's very counter trend, right? So, that's a ballsy stance to take. I would take the other side of that trade, but we can't ignore it. Let's get you out of there. All right, we can't ignore that. Now here, just to add a little fuel to the bear, for the bears. This is all in arithmetic. If I go to log scale, get it to log scale. Let me reset it. Here we are in log scale. Okay, well now we're to and through the golden zone. We're at the 764, right? We're in that little pocket right there. But more so than that, right? As we acknowledge here, okay, well that's, if this is an ABC, if this is going to be AB, well that's certainly a reasonable location for a B to go 786, right? Common for a B wave. But what gives that a little bit more bear food? You down here a little bit, is that if we're in logarithmic and we measure this, the length of the A from the proposed B, where we sit, right? I mean, the 100 is splitting the 764786, right? So you'd have to look at that and say, why not? If this is 5 and this is 3, why wouldn't we be going down in 5 to challenge that low? Okay, we're kind of back to, are you fighting the technicals for sake of your bias, right? Are you saying, well, got no shortage of people that come onto Bloomberg and tell you that it's garbage, that it has no intrinsic value at all. It's just a waste of energy. I watched them come on repeatedly after the ETF was approved, right? People that want to take the other side of that and they're going to sell it all day long. Well, what do you think they're seeing here? If they're, yeah, that's assuming they're technicians at all, or that they even apply any TA, because the basis of the argument had nothing to do with the technicals. It was just all Bitcoin's rat poison bullshit. It's the greater fool theory, Ponzi scheme. You're going to hear all of that. Now, I will tell you, they were all over 65 who were saying that, right? But so that may have something to do with it. I'm almost over 65, but I'm almost. Anyway, okay, so there's as an ABC, so the assumption would be, oh, top is in, we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And Bitcoin is over. Well, or restarting, how would we say it that way? Anyone taking that side of the trade, well, good luck, right? I'll be on the other side of it all the way down, right? And certainly, I've been wrong plenty of times before. But here, I think all of the ingredients suggest that we have a very strong candidate, right? So, I mean, right? Unless you're just an uber bear and you just hate crypto. Well, number one, why are you watching my content? And number two, if you're so bearish of crypto that you don't want to go near it, okay, you selling it? See, a lot of times I'm somewhat amused by these people. They'll tell you, oh, it's complete crap. It's all bullshit. It's a greater fool theory, but they're not selling it. Right? Maybe they learned a little bit from GameStop, right? Again, if you're a crypto hater, likely the best place for you is not in crypto. Best place for you is traditional assets rather than, because again, I'd love to sit down with any of those people and say, so are you shorting it here? And I'm not saying you couldn't make a little money, right? Shit, right? We come down something like that. Well, shit, what could you make 15 grand there? Add some leverage, right? Oh, okay. Maybe we go here. You still making some money? Maybe we do this as a 4. Right? Are you still bearish? Is that what you're thinking? Or would you now be thinking, hey, maybe I'll take my 4 or 5 grand here and get out because the potential is for that to go. Right? All of that's what's in the market all day long, right? It takes 2 to make a trade, right? So there's got to be someone on the other side because we're sitting here as bulls going, oh God, give me a retrace here. I'm going to buy the shit out of it. If you didn't already buy some more off of the ETF news. See, I think if you're a long-term bull here and you're thinking about this ETF news, it can't be where you're anticipating where it's going to be 2 weeks from now. Where's it going to be 2 years from now? I know that's what crypto bulls like to say, but best performing asset in the last 10 years, best performing asset of the last year, best performing asset of 11 out of the last 14 years. Really, you want to short that? All right, well, have at it. I'll be on the other side of that. So, but at least we've acknowledged the bear count. Right? Here, I'm 22 minutes here. I'm talking about the bear count, right? So this is exactly what I do not think is going to happen. Now, again, you make your own trading decision here, but any retrace here, I'm buying. Okay, so that established here, but now we have some good insight into how the technicals are responding here, right? Is there anything more technical than Bitcoin? Not much, right? And Bitcoin loves the golden zone, so we take it out of log scale. And right here we sit. Now you see this as a 1, 2 going for the 3. Here's the high probability zone here, right in the golden zone. We didn't quite get there. Just missed it, right? Now we don't know that the top is in, but that's a pretty good kickback, right, off of that golden zone, right? So algo's doing their thing. Okay, so I think here the point being, with all of that kind of factored in, my view is here, if this is gonna hold as a pivot, we've just put the 3 in and the opportunity is 4, 5. Now if we get that, I hide this and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, let's not forget what we'd be suggesting if this is going to go here to complete the 5th. Okay, slow your roll now. What would you anticipate after that, right? We'd perhaps coming back into these mid-30s. Now, again, I don't have this. I don't know how that high that's going. I don't know. But if you're anticipating the completion of the 5th up here, we'd anticipate in the same way you'd anticipate, oh, if I can get it into 38, 23, 38, a little bit below here into this consolidation, if I can get that for the 4th into the 5th, well, don't just assume that, oh, well, the fib relationships were great 4 to 5, but, oh, they're not going to be good for the 2. Because if this completes the 5, well, right, we got to anticipate this. We'd come right back to all of this before we go for the big three, right? And that's the monster, right? That's the big daddy right there, right? If we're going to go 1, 2, 3, puts you up towards 100 grand. That would not be the top. 4, 5 still to come. Oh, so I mean, these are, you know, that's bull porn, right? So which is fun to do, but as we sit here having waded through the whole FTX debacle, the sideways here, sitting through the summer, waiting, when's the fucking ETF? Jesus Christ, how long is it going to take? Can we get the thing, please? Well, here, now we got it. Okay, so that piece of the conversation is removed. Okay, what do they do with it? Well, one thing we know, right, they're likely going to need to buy Bitcoin. Now, do they want to buy the high? No, of course they don't, right? Players like that never buy the highs, right? They'll short it just to drive it down so they can buy it lower, right? So don't be surprised if we sell off further here. And again, down here in this 36 to 40 range, if you get an opportunity down here, I would not let that pass you by. It's my view, my opinion, not financial advice. Okay, let me get done with that and spend enough time on that one. Hang on, let's get ETH going here. Okay, so ETH, right, obviously is going to be similar. Now, the count is different. I think this over here, this is a much stronger case for a 3. Right, I've talked about this before. That's less confusion. And could it be a 5? I don't think we have that issue here. This is a 3 all day, right? I think we can all agree on that. It got a little funky here, right? There was a potential do we do it? But there's the 5 to finish it, 3 to correct it. Okay, right. Again, Elliott's genius in 2020, 22, 23, 5s and 3s, right? You'd think, God, did the market change over those 80 years? No, it didn't. Right? Because these are not magic patterns. This is human emotion reflected in a chart. Fear, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed, fear, greed. All right, so we are in the greed cycle right now. Now, this is a tricky little count here. So again, let's use the technicals here. Let's use the tools, the things that we teach and train you on every day. Let's use them. 1, 2. Okay, I get my initial channel. Now, I have a secondary channel in here, but let's just focus on the bigger one, because until we get this thing to push out of here and give me some legs up here, all I'm doing is bumping into this channel. We could roll over. Again, right, a squirt beyond the channel doesn't mean shit, right? That could be just a little sweep of liquidity. We're running into some imbalance here. It's got to keep going. We got to get the 3, 4, 5 in here so we can draw the secondary, so we can draw this channel, right? So we can do this one. Oh, shit, we'd have to do it here, right? So we'd have to have a runner on this, so we'd have to clone it. Let's do this. See if we can get that. Oh, probably half does it. Yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so that's the channel I should probably change those colors. Let's go to white here and white here and make that distinction, right? So this is the channel we're after here. This one through the proposed 3. Now, we don't have a 3 yet. So all I've got is the 1, 2, but we're optimistic that we're going to get the legs here. Bitcoin goes likely, right? Ethereum goes with it, and vice versa, I think, to some degree. If we're going to roll here, we're going to blow out of this lower channel, right? So this is the one, we haven't done it yet, but that's the one we're after, right? To get that one out of there. So as we sit here, 1, 2, 1, 2 seems the most reasonable, right? We've got your Elliott hat on. Well, there's a 5, there's a 3, there's a 5, there's a 3. What else are you going to call it? Kind of a rhetorical question, right? I'm not trying to be confrontational there, but okay, big, long, sideways, droopy second. So if that's the case, okay, what do I have here, right? Are we thinking, oh, this is the 3? Well, not likely. Even here, right? So if we completed, now you look here and you go, God, can that be, is that kind of looks like a 4? But now you got to work through the count here. Again, this is what kind of guides your, this is structure mapping, right? The Elliott Wave is structure mapping, right? So structure mapping, it's kind of a buzzword out of market structure, but Elliott Wave is the original structure mapping. If we're going 1, 2 and 1, 2, this is structure mapping. Right now, we're doing it a little bit differently than SMC, ICT market structure trader is going to do it, but it's still structure mapping. So off of my low here, 1, 2, I get a completed 5. This looks like triangle here into this 4. Because we get a little squishy. We're not progressing the trend. Likely the 4. We don't overlap down here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That looks like a solid 3 relative to this little baby 1, 2 we have here. So you want to look for that proportion. Even that is a bit much. A, B, C, D, E. It's a little squishy in there. I am on a daily. For the 4, push up for the 5. Not likely to be the 3. So if we're counting this as 1, 2, likely 1, 2. Now this is not a great. That's not your classic 2. It's shallow, right? Of course, right? It's not going to be, we didn't make it down here. Right? There's the God MA, the 200 EMA SMA average. We didn't quite make that. But it's not like it's never happened before. Oh, here, right? So we're been 23.38. What did we really do, right? We came back into all this consolidation, put a toe in, swept the liquidity. So somebody's either stop is filled here or breakout trader sells it, right? How did that work for them? Not too well. All right, so liquidity grabbed, off we go. So likely we've got 1, 2, likely, right? No certainty. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now you string those 1, 2s together, you've got a major ripping bull projection. Right, it's just that. If these are going to hold as 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, we are going a hell of a lot higher. Did I say if, right? If this holds, if we continue here with this impulse, we are going much higher in Ethereum. Let me reset that. Okay, so now I'm in arithmetic here, right? So we're not even to the 50. Wait a second now. Let's go log. Interesting, right? Turtle head right through the golden zone here from the all-time high. Just a little nibble through, right? And a little rejection. Now, do we need to be, roughly $5,000 to 890? You certainly make a strong case that you would have to look at it in both. Always, if I can, right? If I'm not forced to it because the range is so huge. I want to do the majority of the work in arithmetic if I can, right? But I can barely fit it on the screen. So you kind of have to look at both. But as I sit here in arithmetic, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, I'm expecting a pretty good 3 here. Now, if we're going to stay in arithmetic, where are we expecting that 3 to run into some resistance? Same place Bitcoin did, right? Not because there's someone at Goldman Sachs sitting there with a catcher's mitt saying, bring it up here so I can sell it. That's just going to be an algorithm. It's going to do it just as it did it with Bitcoin. Same idea. Doesn't mean we can't get through, but you can understand why there would be resistance. There'll be resistance at the 50, right? Swing high, swing low, halfway back. Yeah, there'll be an algo fire there, right? Same thing. Doesn't mean we can't get through, but anticipate the resistance. We've also got this little let's call it supply right here as we're coming into that last little upswing before we. No, so why is that a good order block? Because look at all the displacement that came off of it. So you swept up the little liquidity grab within that. Now again, I'm on the daily. That's just sitting there unmitigated, right? It's just about to get tapped into, right? It's been untested. But that one goes. Then you got to go to this one, right? And you got to keep going. And then there's this one. Or eventually we'll get up here. We're going to have to challenge those highs. But as it sits right now, that's game on. Now, does that mean, oh, shit, time to buy it? Well, you're a little late to that party. Let's go down to a 4, right? Now, this isn't careful here. Right? Now, you've consolidated here. Do you want to make the assumption here? Okay, well, let's look at it. Okay, if this is 1, 2, looks like I got a 1, 2, 3, 4. That's kind of a shitty little 5th. So that might have, let's label it. So perhaps 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4 could be going in. So we got to label them. Unless we got to put these somewhere. Let's take that down a few degrees, right? So 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All I know is that I've stopped, right? I'm consolidating here, right? So classic characteristics of a 4, and it would be consistent with the subdivision. If this is 1, 2, well, I need a 3. 1, 2, 3, sideways 4. You'd anticipate one more little leg up here to give this a completed look of an impulse, right? Note it would all be self-contained, right? We'd have that nice channeling effect that we look for in a self-contained impulse, right? So we can, It's not like this doesn't, we don't break out of these channels and still find impulses. It's just that this, you lean into it more here because it's giving you, it's providing the geometry as well as the swing structure, as well as the structure mapping, as well as the internal subdivision. It's giving all of it to you. So you lean into that as a third more than, oh shit, I don't fuck the A, B, I don't know what it is, right? You lean into it here. So you're going to take a little bit. So if we get this kind of action here, you're going to lean in a little more aggressively to that potential, right? It's always just potential, 4 to the 5. But again, just it's just human nature, right? So go, keep going, don't stop. It's going to go to the moon. If you're going to use the technicals here, what's your anticipation? Oh shit, I just completed a 5. Halfway back would be a reasonable estimate. If this is going to be 1, 2, we're going to get a 3 here relative to this 1, 2. Right, it's a mighty shallow 1, 2. I know this is getting a little crowded in here. Hard to see some of these. Let's get all this out of here. Oh, I think we can establish here that we've now, with this point, the consolidation here. So consolidation, push, retest. Okay, sweep the liquidity, retest. Now we launch, right? Now that's a little bit off of the news as well. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? Is it the 3? Let's see where if we got here, right? Maybe we get to the golden zone, right? Same thing. And we get that. How would that look? How would the swing relationships be? Right? From 1, 2, almost identical to what Bitcoin did, right? The golden zone prevented it from getting the 618. I wouldn't bet against that. Now, I don't know. I don't have this yet. I don't know how much further that goes, or if it's done. Right? It could be done for all I know. It's far enough. If that's 1, 2, that could be the 3. We're going to start the 4, and we're going to get a skinny 5. If that's the case, well, that's actually more bullish because if it's 1, 2, and this is we're going to pivot here. Likely that's 1, 2, another 1, 2. You would anticipate something going 1, 6, 1, 8 if we're going to get a true impulsive push up here. Challenge that golden zone. Shit, how am I doing? 36 minutes. Okay, I think hopefully you guys are all kind of working through the same thought process, right? That's what I hope here, and hopefully that's the point of my going through all of this. Word salad, right? If you will, right? I mean, I'm going fast. I'm talking about things. Some of you, as new Elliotticians, will maybe it's a little too fast. Others that are like, oh, fuck, get to the point, right? Right? 5-3, I got it, right? Where are we going with this? So, kind of a combination of the two, right? Always for me when I'm trying to teach and give some guidance on where we might be going as well, right? So hopefully that thought process is worthwhile. Okay, so I think we've covered those two pretty well. I've got a few other things here. Hang on one sec. Okay, this is one I wanted to cover here. This is STAX, STX to the dollar. I'm doing this on Coinbase. One of my team senseis, this is GZ 1968. He's really, he's much more of a fundamental analyst than I am, right? So his network, and a lot of guys that really study the technology of crypto. This is one they're particularly bullish on. So I thought we'd have a look at it here. So he just made the suggestion to me to take a look at STX. And so of course, right, I bring up the chart and I go, whoa. Okay, this is kind of interesting, right? So what I hope you recognize here is that the approach is the same, always same approach, right? That's the value of it. It's not, well, shit, that didn't work. Well, I guess I'll try something else, right? No, it's the same thing done the same way every time, right? If you want consistency in your results, there's got to be consistency in your approach to the market, right? So as we sit here, okay, some sort of, this is a relatively current and at least new to Coinbase. Okay, we slop down here. I don't even count those wicks, right? So, but okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I got a candidate for a 1 coming off of the low. Okay, that's pretty reasonable, right? It's nice, right? Elliott structure, A, B. Oh, we get a little sloppy wiki down here, but looks to me like 5 followed by 3. Oh, lo and behold. Well, what would I be anticipating after a 3? Another 5. Do we get it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, it's a little bit shallow of what you'd be anticipating here for a rip-roaring bull. But perhaps we're just putting in a one wave here. So if this is going to stall here, we got to pay attention to this one. All right, now that wouldn't count as an invalidation here because we don't yet have the 3, and we don't know yet that the 3 is done. This could be 1, 2, 1, 2, and we're going to go bigger on the 3, right? So I'm a little reluctant to even put the 3 there because if this is going to be a big bull, and it has that kind of, I'll let you do your own research on what they're all about. But there's definitely a use case for these guys. So it's not just a meme coin. 1, 2. Well, what would be the first thing you'd want to check? Do you see that's just that's a couple of ticks into the golden zone, and there's the target? Is it technical? Is the algo in here? Do I need to keep doing this? I mean, I've shown it. Yeah, I'm in logs, yeah. 50,001 times I've shown that. I just come back to how could you ever, if you've watched 5 of my videos, ever not check that? I can't for the life of me understand how somebody would not. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Are we done here? Well, what do I got below? Okay, so this is this is a nice example here of the Elliott oscillator here. So we want the big push to be the 3, and we want some divergence here, and then we want the retrace and then divergence for the 4, 5, right? So higher price, lower momentum. Look at the RSI, same thing. So this is just a perfect one wave, right? Perfect impulsive structure in alignment with the Elliott oscillator. Well, how about over here? 1, 2. Oh, looks like I'm in a 3. I don't really have a good 4 established yet. So nothing says this couldn't go higher. Again, this could be 1, 2, and we're going much higher. But again, I can't. It's not chart magic. I can't scour through thousands of crypto alts to find the one that did this, right? They all do it. With this from Bitcoin to Stacks to ETH it's the dominant algo in the market. Period. Based on fibs, right? Period. Right. There's plenty of other algos in the market, but this is the one we can track that you can see on any chart at any time frame. It's never not there, and if it's not there, I wouldn't go near it. Right? If it's not there, there's a reason for it. Every institution, right, using this. Okay, so 1, 2, I don't know. Doesn't look like to me like I'd want to be buying here. Would you want to buy right now? The target is not a sell signal, but the fact that we're pushing off of that, I've got a nice self-contained impulse. What I think we've got is 1, 2, 1, 2. We're going to go bigger. Again, use case here is very real. So I'd be disappointed if this were the 3, but I mean, it could be, right? We'd have we'd have 5, 3, 5. I don't think it would be long enough, right? We'd have to have a leading diag here to go 5, 3, 5, 3, 5, right? And I don't think 3 is going to be long enough. So this is a hurry up and wait, but this is one to keep your eyes on, get it in a watch list, and keep an eye on it. Oh, what else have I got here? This is one. Oh, I've got to. Again, I try not to do things that I'm in to have it, because they can be misinterpreted. Oh, you're pumping your book. It's not what I'm doing here. This is just one that a lot of people are trading here. Also, another one that GZ 1968, right? We all know it's George, who's on my team. He's the one who first got me really looking at this. And well, you're going to have to, if you're in the States, you're going to have a little trouble finding an exchange for it here. Here, this is his Qcoin. Maybe you can still get away with Qcoin if you're on a VPN, but very few other exchanges offer it, but they have their own wallet, so it's tradable. You have to dig a little bit on it, depending on where you're trading. But the nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, I had a couple of people asking about this after Wednesday's live stream, right? So I happen to have this work that was fresh. So we've got a completed impulse here, and we're starting on the correction, right? So here we can frame this. Well, okay, where's the value area? Well, oh, look at that. The 1 in the value area lines up nicely. Oh, well, if we just did a 5, what are we anticipating? A 3. If it's a completed impulse, where might we anticipate that retrace to stop? Well, how about halfway back? Lo and behold, right? All this imbalance comes off of it here. And then what else, right? What do we look here? Right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C into the B. It could be 3. A, B, C. That's not a great, well, shit, let's go here. No, you could do it either way. It almost doesn't matter here. Or you could get it done here. The point I'm trying to get to is this. Why do we stop here? Indeed, why do we stop there? Okay, so we're at from the 1 hour of ORAIChain, the daily of Bitcoin, daily of ETH. What were we looking at? I think it was the daily of STX. Every single one of them, right? This algo's right there at the major pivots. Ignore it at your own peril. Okay, right. So this coming back down here for a potential C. Now, what else would I have there? Right. So don't forget. Right. You got it's just easy to forget. Right? I got a golden corner here. Right. 80% now has already been burned. Right. So you're late to that party. Right now just because we tag there, if we don't pivot there, we're likely coming down lower. So you might look for that here. Again, I'll look at all this imbalance down here. Here's liquidity right here that is yet to be tapped, right? Sitting right there. Likely, all right, we're going to come down here, sweep that liquidity, bang the algo target, right? This algo is going to get paid. You know, it looks to me like that might be the start. If this is 1, 2, we might come 3, 4, 5, right? And then start to look back the other direction. 5, followed by 3. What do we anticipate? Another 5. All right, it's not rocket science. So now it gets hard, right? This is a tricky count. Where's the, what the 5? Oh, triangle, right? As soon as it's what the triangle. All right, last one. How am I doing? Oh shit, 45. Okay, last one is link here. So this is one of my lead senseis. This is you guys know it's PK, right? He's a master level Elliottician. This is his count. This was me. This is he and I going back and forth. Right, his almost always going to be better Elliott than mine. Although I ended up in the same place. Let's focus on his. Right, let's feature his work. Right, he's so damn good at this. Right, so the bottom line is here. What do we got? Sideways. Now, you've seen me many times go, oh, fuck, who cares, right? It's sideways, right? Likely the 4. Well, there's extra conviction that comes with working through every one of those swings, right? If you're in our belt system, we're going to make you do it. Now, just the point is, can you do it? Once you can do it, right, and you're like, okay, I can follow that, right? I understand why this flies, why this is valid. If you don't, see, if you're new to Elliott, you'd look at that and go, whoa, come on. No way. How would I ever... No, it's not as hard as it first looks. I know. This is now he's a master Elliottician, right? Level 3 is about as high as they get. Well, shit, I'm level 1, right? He's much more advanced Elliottician than I am. So this is his work. But look at the complexity here. I think we've looked at this recently. The complexity here is just astonishing, right? So I get an A, B, C into an A, right? So the idea is I've got a potential flat into a running flat here. So I've got 3. It's very tricky to get there, right? But for those of you that like the puzzle, well, he's a puzzle master. So there's an A, right, via the ABC. Then I get an ABC into a W. Now I get an A, B, C, D, E into an X. So I go A, W, X, Y into the B at this degree. So I've got A, B. Now I come down and finish at a 5. So I've got a contender here. This could have been the running flat was in and we'd off we go, right? Link to the moon, right? But that's not what we get. So again, as a reminder, an Elliott count is always just a snapshot in time. They are adjusted and modified all the time, right? Based on how the market responds. Now, so far, there's been no reason to change this count, right? The premise being that this is a 3 coming off of the 1, 2 here, right? So, well, we call that pretty typical. Looks like a zigzag. 1, 2, 3. Here's your classic. How do we identify the 4, right? We're not progressing the trend. We're sideways, consolidation, up we go. So I've got a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, looking good. Now this is all going sideways. Classic 4. It doesn't mean that it's definitely the 4 and we're going higher. It's never what we're saying. But right as we look at it right now, the highest probability is that we're working through the 4 relative to this 3, this 1, 2. So you might look at that and say, well, okay, well, first thing I learned was look for the relationship between the 2 and the 3. Where's the highest probability location for the 4th? Right, between the 23 and the 38. Can you see the liquidity sweep in here? It's not too hard to spot. Right? I know it's a little crowded in there, but there's the liquidity sweep. right? What's the algo, right? Looking for from internal to external, right? It's, what did it find there? Well, internal liquidity. And oh, look at the reaction. So could we be done here? Is the 4 in? Yeah, we could. A, B, C. So this would be W, if I bring this down. In red, let's change that so you can see that a little better. What are we not used here? How about blue, right? So A, B, C, right? Candidate for either a flat or a W. I get another 3, right? That would make you think, oh, okay, well, A, B, C, W. But it could also, it's actually, this is a tricky one because you could have 2, it could be done here. Because we could have the running flat A here, A, B, C into the B, and then we could have A, B, C into the C here. Oh, shit. The C here of the 4. I know that's getting tough to follow. You know, for those of you that really know Elliott, right? So you'll say, I guess my hope is you'll appreciate the quality of that work. A, B, C. We could be done here. The 4's in. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right. So we looks like we'd likely be firing in a diag to get the 1 of the 5th. But if we roll over here, excuse me, if we roll over here, what would you be thinking then? Right. It's the, if not this, then what? WX, right? This could be, you could make a case here that this is A, B, and that there's another C to come here, and that this is the X, and then the 4 would come over here for this Y. So it would be, I don't know if I draw it here, it would be WXY would be the correction. A, B, C, W, A, B, C, X, A, B, C, Y. Into the 4, we'd be right back at this consolidation, which wouldn't be crazy. Now, I know what you're thinking. What about that pivot right there? You were thinking that, right? Get right on it. Get on there. Probably just a coincidence, right? Probably just another one of the 50,000 coincidences I've shown over the last 5 years. Probably, that's all it is. I said sarcastically. Doesn't mean we have to go down here, but if we do, if we're going to go from that golden zone, where's the target? At the 50, right? It's deeper than we'd like for the 4, but doesn't kill it, which suggests to me the 4 is in, and we're off for the 5, right? Note here, if I come down here, let's bring this up here, right? Remember, algo doesn't care about your Elliott count, doesn't care about an expanded B. It's just going to go dominant to dominant. All right, so we come down here. Here's the target right here. Up for the 5. Right now, if we tag the 50, we get a new target. So that whole thing is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right look? Yeah, right look. Do we have it yet? No. But that's how we're trading it. I know he's very long. I'm partially long, looking to get longer, right? I like it a little bit lower for the next act because I'm pretty long, right? So I'll add, if I come down here, I get an opportunity to add at this 50 here. I'll have a little more conviction into it because I like the idea of it coming back into this consolidation, untested. You call it an order block, right? So why would you call that an order block? Because what's likely happening here is we have heavier players coming in, and why do we say that? Because look at the displacement that comes out of it. So odds are here you got muscle in here. So if we come down here, they're going to defend. Or orders that weren't completely filled here, because that's the assumption is size goes in here. They don't all get filled. We come back here, they pick up some of those orders, and off we go. All right, guys, that's all I got. Holy shit, I went long today. Oh, man. Oh, I don't know how to do it any shorter, right? I guess I could either do fewer assets, well, you may be in the comments, right? Would you rather see? I always ask this, right? Because I'm trying to do this based on how people like to view it, right? So sometimes these long ones, sometimes if I bring up a video and I say, oh, fuck, it's 50 minutes. Jesus, I got to make time for that. Sometimes I know many people will they'll fast forward to whatever asset they're interested in, or they'll do it on, double speed, whatever, right? So you kind of get the key points of it. But I guess what I'm asking for those of you that are regular subs, and this would be both members and YouTube subs, would you prefer I did these as shorter videos? So instead of doing five assets in one video, I could do 5 videos, right? 5 shorter videos. Maybe that's a better way to do it. All right, I'll look for your feedback on that. With that said, let's see. I guess we're back back next week. I'm going to be a little bit out of pocket next week because I'm working on the last bits of the brown belt. So I'll be recording all week. Okay, but we'll still have our live stream on Wednesday, and I'll be back on Friday. Okay, guys, have a good weekend. Talk to you next time.